Good morning. This is a miserable day in England again. Bags under my eyes. What is that? That is gravity and age. I've been tinkering with this random project. I was doing a users page. So what software and what products and stuff that I use. Not for my face, obviously, because nothing goes on my face. What editor you use, what theme, because people like that kind of thing. Anyway, so I was doing that, and one of the things I wanted to include was actually what was on my desktop, like my physical desktop, and things like the keyboard I use, because I quite like my keyboard now, and I've got juggling balls on my table because I like juggling, and I want to learn how to do four balls, but I don't know how to do four balls. So I'd taken a photo a little while ago, and I thought about, oh god, no one's gonna let me out here. I'm just gonna push my way across the road. I thought about dropping it into something like Sketch and like drawing arrows to things, and I just realised that I'd probably spend more time in Sketch than I would doing the blog post or the post itself. And then I remembered actually Flickr, I don't know if it still does, but it had a feature that you could annotate photos, and in those annotations you could include things like links and just more description to kind of go around. You can draw like a square. That's the only thing you can draw. Draw a square around a particular bit of picture, and then you'd annotate that. And it might be, this is such and such, a picture of them, and a link to their Flickr profile, and the kind of thing that Facebook probably does automatically. I know Google is pretty good at picking these things up. I know there's a lot of machine learning around object recognition. Anyway, so I've been tinkering with this little project where you can draw a polygon in an image, and from there you can add any text, and it stores it all as currently it's kind of just a little React project. And it's currently storing all the polygons and all the text in a JSON blob. What is this driver ahead of me doing? They're just kind of floating in the middle of the road. So it took me a couple of hours to do that. To be honest, it probably took me longer to work out how to do the polygons because I was using SVG to do it. Rightly, a couple of people on Twitter said it looks like you are either using or you need image maps, and image maps would be perfect, but you can't style image maps. You can't apply any CSS, you can't apply any hover effects, and I wanted some kind of user feedback to tell the user that they could click on these and so on. Anyway, that brings me to the point of how do I brakes are really sensitive on this car. How do I store this? I want people to be able to sign in using something, probably GitHub auth, like delegated sign in, and upload a photo and then annotate it themselves and be able to share that with other people. So I could see, what Simone has on our desktop, and in fact, actually, most of my desk is configured and copied from Sue Hinton, whose desk setup is amazing. So, I wanted some process of being able to do that. Problem is, I don't want to maintain a database. I don't want to have to look after that. I don't want to have to run backups. I don't want to have to run a server to be able to do any of this stuff. And I was thinking about techniques to do this, and it's not serverless in the sense of serverless. It's serverless as in there is no architecture, and I've actually got a couple of tools that already start to do this, that exist with no database but have data associated with them. So one of those tools is jqterm.com, which is a JQ web interface that gives you kind of real-time previews, but you can save all the JSON you've stored, and the JQ command that you're using, the script, is stored on a query line, on the query string, so you know, the URL, which means that I can kind of store a JSON blob and share the result of the query. This is done using gists. There is a server behind it because it writes to a gist, and it writes a private secret gist using the JQ term GitHub auth details. So in fact there are thousands now of these things, and probably more than that. No idea what they are, where they are, anything like that. And so what happens is the user uploads some JSON, and the code does a post to a server, and the server generates a gist, gives him back the gist ID, and then it runs the queries against those. Now, theoretically, if you could get the user's GitHub token inside the browser, then you could generate the gist from the browser, so you wouldn't have to have a server to do that, and that way there would be no server logic to create the gist or even to restore the gist. So that's what I was thinking. Could I use gists to kind of delegate the database? Because with GitHub you get sign-in, and with gists you get a data store. And the hard part is, I guess, restoring, like knowing what the gist URL is against that user. There's a new version of JSPin I've been working on for a couple of years, like really low frequency, but it uses GitHub as the data store. So the only bit of server code is the sign-in. So you sign in, it goes through GitHub, it does the callback, the auth callback, sends you back to JSPin, and gives you a token that then is used to do all the GitHub communication. And you literally commit files to a Git repo from inside of JSPin, which I think is pretty cool. So can we delegate databases? And GitHub seems like a really good source for that. And then I was thinking, could you so imagine this this desk sharing website. Instead of having to authenticate at all with GitHub, maybe what it could do is you do everything in the browser. Okay, so you make your desk, you do your annotations and install all that kind of thing. Maybe you store it in local storage to start off with, just so it's there, or maybe not local storage, maybe IndexedDB. So if they come back, it's still there. And then when they're ready to save it and share it, you click on save, and it creates a new GitHub issue. And inside the issue, as commented out code, or even just a block of JSON, there could be the JSON that represents that user, and you could have a GitHub action that kind of slurps up that data from the new issue and generates a file in the repo that represents that user, thus creating fully like databaseless accounts. And I guess that only as long as the issue was opened by that user, could they modify the JSON? Makes sense. I guess the one part that you'd need some kind of authentication is for file image upload. I don't know how you would do image upload without some server involved. Yeah, anyway, I guess the whole set of thoughts here are one of the other videos I did, I talked about kind of services that I run and how it's very easy to end up with a lot of them. I quite easily have I think it's like 16 different services that I run. Some of them are used solely for me, some of them are used by other people, but that I have a habit of kind of creating new tech stack every time, and this is probably another one of those, but can I do it in a way that I don't need to maintain any servers or databases, because that would be freaking awesome. So yeah, delegated architecture, and not like delegated as in the server is something else. Can I do it without any architecture? So yeah, that's what I'm thinking about. I do a Twitch session as well, like live coding, and I'm thinking about maybe doing, like, playing this out a little bit on Twitch, seeing if I can build it. I like the idea of using issues as the way of generating like user content. Feels very, very kind of tied to GitHub though. Maybe GitHub isn't a great company. I don't know. Like all the ICE stuff. I don't know. Anyway, so yeah, can you have a database without having a database, without storing anything, and have it all fully someone else's fucking problem? So let me know if you've played with that at all. If you have any preference for databases. I've literally bounced from SQL, Postgres, SQLite, Mongo, Redis. I feel like I'm collecting databases at the moment, and yeah, Gists and GitHub. So yeah, let me know if you've got any better ideas.